but there was work we had to do. And some of y'all are tricking off praying to God, and you're like, oh, God ain't doing it in my life. Because you're waiting for God to do things that he's called you to do. You're waiting for God to bless you with a harvest. He put the seed in your hand and said, be fruitful, but you won't go till the ground. You won't go plant the seed and water it. You won't go to weed, and you wonder why you ain't got fruit. God said, I'm trying to do exceedingly abundantly more, but you're tricking off everything I gave you. Let me calm down. What's up? Welcome to the Unruly Podcast. I'm your host, Rousawn Dozier, and I'm excited to have you with me. I'm excited that you're here. However you connected with me, wherever you found me at, I'm grateful. And if you love, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If not, I'm going to catch you at some point. You're going to subscribe. Might as well do it now. But hey, welcome to the Unruly Podcast. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I'm on a whole nother level of energy right now because I get to talk about something that I would say I've gotten passionate about over the past couple years. Like, give me a moment. Like, we're going to get into it. Let me ask you something. Like, when's the last time you've done something to intentionally put yourself in an area where you're not comfortable? It was said to me at one point, like, the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing good ever grows there. Think about it. Like, when's the last time you grew in the comfort zone? I'll wait. You know you can't. Like, you know that you didn't grow while you were comfortable. Like, those moments when you really stretched, those were the moments that you got better. Whether you stretched intellectually or you stretched physically in some way, you ran a marathon, you did something to really challenge yourself, and not only did you grow, like, you gained confidence. Like, so be intentional about putting yourself in positions of discomfort, because from discomfort comes confidence, right? I say all that to say this. During the pandemic, my father-in-law buys my wife and I everything we need to start gardening. Rousawn, what are you talking about, bro? Like, gardening, that shouldn't stress you. That shouldn't stretch you. It does me, man. Look at my hands. Like, if you're watching, you can see my hands. If you're listening, I'm going to describe my hands. As soft as a baby's bottom, perfectly lotioned. These are inside hands, man. Like, I speak for a living. I do podcasts. I create content. I'm not building anything and gardening nada. However, the process is, I'll be real, it's therapeutic. Like, my wife and I have learned some things. And so my father-in-law gets us all the stuff we need. We got shovels, everything we need to create a garden in our yard. And the process of this gardening situation, it taught me a lot. Like, do you know that, like, doing things that you're not really familiar with can teach you so much more than just doing the same old things that you always do? Like, this process of creating a garden in our yard taught me so many lessons, not just about gardening, but about life, about growth, about mindset. And guess what? You don't even have to go garden right now, because I'm going to share the tips. I'm going to share the keys with you on this episode. I want to talk about what you water grows. You see, that the things you water in life grow. And right now, somebody listening to this, somebody watching this is complaining because they feel like, oh, ain't nothing really growing in my life. I'm not really seeing any harvest. I'm not really seeing anything pop off. It ain't growing. Why don't you stop focusing on what's not growing and ask yourself, what am I watering? What am I watering? Like, am I being intentional in watering the things and nurturing the things that I want to grow in my life? Or do you just think your bank account's going to look the way you want it to look when you wake up in the morning? Boom! Or do you just think your relationship with your kids are going to look the way you want it to look like tomorrow morning? Or do you just think that your relationships with your spouse or significant other is going to look the way you want it to look? Do you think your body is going to look the way you want it to look without water in it? Of course not. It doesn't make sense, because you know and I both know that if you're looking for an apple tree to grow and somebody tells you, well, you don't have to water it, you're going to say it doesn't make sense, it'll die. Yep, and so will your dreams, so will your desires, so will your relationships, so will your health. What are you watering? And that's what I want to talk about. Like, what you water grows, especially as it pertains to the garden. So a couple things that I learned in this process is like you have to do something called tilling the ground. You have to till the ground to make way for new seeds. Like you can't just dig a little hole. You actually have to rip up what was there to prepare it for something new. Come on, y'all don't hear me right in this right now. Like you actually have to remove the topsoil. You have to rip it back to prepare it for something new. And so many people just want, hey, I'm gonna try to work out for a day. I'm gonna try to eat healthy for a day or 2 days or a week. And if I don't lose weight, then it's just not for me. Now you really gotta be willing to pull some things away. You gotta strip away the old so you can prepare for the new. And you're trying to have new opportunities with old mindsets. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You gotta pull everything away. So my wife and I, man, and it was tough, man. We had to pull the ground back. We got hoes, pause, out there, the tool. Come on, man. We got the tools back there, and we're pulling the grass away. We're doing everything we need to do to prepare for what we wanted. You see, the work comes. You got to work the work before the work comes. Come on. Like, you got to be willing to pull away old things. What old things in your life are keeping you from experiencing a new situation? What old mindsets, what old habits, what old relationships, what old things are keeping you from experiencing the new things that God has for you in this season? Like, you're so committed to old things that you won't see new things. We tore all that old grass up, right? That's the first thing we did. Then we put our little green beans in there. Or if you've never had garden fresh green beans, you're like, well, I have. I get them from the can. Not, you never had them. You need to go to either get your garden going or go to a farmer's market. But we put our green beans in there, right? We put our cucumbers in there. We put our tomatoes. We did all that, right? We got everything that we wanted. We were intentional about putting new seeds in that new ground that we just created. And we covered it up, and we watered it. And then we watered it. And every single day, twice a day, we had to be intentional about going back and watering the seed that we just planted. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. I'm not just talking about gardening right now. You know I'm not just talking about gardening right now. I'm talking about your life. I'm talking about we just didn't put the seed in there and look out the window every day to see if it was growing. No, there was still work that needed to be done. Like we planted the new seed and we were intentional every single day about watering and nurturing that seed. Like every single day. Like water in the morning, water in the evening. Why? Because I said it already, what you water grows. And don't miss that. Some of y'all right now started doing something new. Like came into the year, oh, this is the year I'm gonna get in the best shape of my life. I'm going to the gym. You went and got all the workout clothes. That was your favorite part. You look fly in the gym. You did it. You went and you ordered all the right supplements, right? You started doing the meal prep, and you did all of that for 7 weeks. And you didn't get the results that you wanted, and you just stopped. You stopped because you didn't see fruit. You watered it for a little bit and just thought, boom, it's supposed to sprout and be good. You thought you were supposed to look the way you wanted to look. Oh, you started saving a little bit of money, and you didn't grow to the level you thought it was going to grow, and you got tired, so you took everything that you put in the bank, and you went and tricked it off on a new purse. You went and tricked it off at the club. Come on, man. You said that you wanted it to grow, but you were only willing to water it a little bit. It doesn't work that way. Every single day we had to go water no matter how we felt. No matter if it was a good day, it was a bad day. We were committed to seeing the growth in our garden, so we watered regardless. We were committed to seeing the growth in the garden, so we watered regardless. And you just water when you feel like watering, and that's why you don't see any fruit coming. That's why you don't see any results. That's why you don't see the growth in your life, because you only water when you feel like it. As an old mentor of mine said, you let the way you feel affect the way you flow. I'm going to take it a step further. You let the way you feel affect the way you flow. That's why you don't see growth. Because you let the way you feel affect the way you flow. Now nothing grows. And so what I want you to do, get out of your feeling and into your garden and start watering it regardless of your feelings. So we did that. That was the first step. Second, because we tilled the ground, then we watered regardless, because I needed you to know. Just because we didn't see it growing, it was still growing. Just because we didn't see it growing, before it grows up, it grows down. Before the green beans grow above the soil, they grow beneath the soil. Before the cucumber grows above the soil, it grows beneath the soil. How, Rousawn? It's called roots. It's called roots. That's the most important growth because that is what gives life to the thing that's going to grow above the soil. That's what gives life. So its roots allow it to go into the ground and get the nutrients it needs to produce a healthy harvest. The work that you need to put into your marriage, you're not going to see. You're not going to see immediately. You're not just going to see your spouse walk through the door happy. You're not just going to see that trust that you lost, right? What they said, what Pastor Mike Todd said. He said, trust is lost in buckets and gained back in drops. And because you got to put the drops in, now you're mad because you don't see it quick enough and you don't realize that it's growing beneath the soil before it grows above the soil. Roots, the root work. Yeah, you got to be willing to do the root work. It's growing. You just don't see it growing. Your confidence is going to get better when you go to the gym, even when you don't feel like it. Your confidence with your kids is going to get better when you show up, even on a day that's been a long, stressful day at work. Your confidence, the things in your marriage is going to get better, and your finances is going to get better because the root work is happening beneath the soil before it happens above the soil. Come on. That's like a little sub point. That wasn't even a point. I just got excited. But then, when we started to see a little bit of growth, this was critical. It's the third step. This was critical. We had to remove the weeds. Yeah. Like then we had to go out and remove the weeds because when something beautiful starts to grow, there's always going to be something around it that begins to attack it. When something beautiful starts to grow, there's always going to be something around it that tries to attack it. And if you're not intentional about getting the weeds out of your garden, the weeds in your garden will suck the nutrients from what it is that you want to grow. What in your life is attacking the thing that you want to grow? I mean, come on, let's be real. We had to de-weed now. Like, we don't even have our fruit above the ground yet all the way. Like, we can see the cucumber plant has blossomed, but the fruit's not there. And I was intentional. My wife was intentional about removing the weeds. Why? Because we didn't want it to suck the nutrients away from the fruit. What things in your life are sucking the nutrients away from the person you want to be? Come on, what relationships do you have that are detrimental to your marriage? What relationships do you have that are detrimental and in conflict with the person that you want to become? What relationships do you have that are keeping you from being the best? What habits, shall I say, are keeping you from doing the things that you need to do, from being disciplined, from being focused? What weeds do you have that are sucking the nutrients out of your life? I need them gone. I need them out of there. And you got to do the work every day and wake up and take the weeds out so that they don't get to the roots. And some of y'all, man, you see a little bit of fruit and you're excited, and then that's when you stop going to get the weeds. Oh, man, I saw a little bit of progress. I lost some pounds. Or, man, my spouse and I are talking a little bit better. We're communicating better. And you saw a little bit hit the surface, and you stop getting the weeds. And the weeds come back and start taking from, I don't want you to do it. I need you to identify what are the weeds in my life that have to go. Come on. I got one more thing for you. Let me pull it up here because I'm not done talking to you. I'm not done talking to you. I said we had to remove all the soil that was there first, right? That was the first step. Second step is like we had to plant the new seeds that we wanted to see grow eventually and water every day, no matter how we felt. We didn't allow the way we feel to affect the way we flowed. That way something could grow. And then when we started to see a little growth, we had to be intentional about getting the weeds out of there. Here's the fourth thing. If you do those three things, God is so incredible. God is good. You do those three things. You remove the soil, right? You plant the new seed and water it. You get the weeds out of there. You will be blessed with more than you planted. I would throw my hat across the studio. I said I planted a green bean seed, right? From one green bean seed, I got 50, 60 green beans from one seed. Come on. The Bible says exceedingly and abundantly more. The harvest was exceedingly and abundantly more than what we thought. Why? Because we did the work leading up to it and God did the rest. Like, come on, like I said, if you do the 3 steps, God will bless you exceedingly and abundantly more. And the reason we don't see the abundance in our life is because we're skipping steps. I don't want you to skip steps anymore. Trust the process. The process is going to produce a bountiful, a plentiful harvest. I said, out of one green bean, boom, I got 60. One little tomato plant, we got dozens and dozens. One cucumber, we got dozens and dozens. God did exceedingly and abundantly more. But there was work we had to do. And some of y'all are tricking off praying to God, and you're like, oh, God ain't doing it in my life. Because you're waiting for God to do things that he's called you to do. You're waiting for God to bless you with a harvest. He put the seed in your hand and said, be fruitful, but you won't go till the ground. You won't go plant the seed and water it. You won't go to weed, and you wonder why you ain't got fruit. God said, I'm trying to do exceedingly abundantly more, but you're tricking off everything I gave you. Let me calm down. Thanks for watching the pod. Like, what I'm saying is, what you water in your life will grow, but there's work that you need to do. Like, you owe yourself the best version of you. You owe yourself, right? You owe it to you to be great because so many people are counting on you. There's work to be done. And when you water the seed and you do the work, you'll get even more. So, hey, this is the Unruly Podcast. I appreciate you rocking with me. Until next time, stay unruly and go be great.